Hey there, bike fam, Jan here, and I have something so exciting that I want to show you all. Check this out. No bounce. Isn't that awesome? It's so cool. There's no bounce because I have a coil shock on my bike. I know what you guys are thinking. Coil shocks are not new, but what's new is this. The Sprindex, an adjustable coil shock. Did you guys hear that? So I'm not new to mountain biking, but I am new to riding this coil spring. And so far my experience has been it's a really plush ride and it cuts out the chatter on the fire roads. So like I said, I'm no expert, but I do know of one.
I've always preferred riding with a coil spring shock in the rear of my bike. The problem I've always found is that you have to switch out springs so many times to try and find the right spring rate. And oftentimes they only come in 50-pound increments. So it's very hard to hone in on exactly what you're trying to have the perfect setup, you know. So now if you were to have a DVO Jade rear shock with a compression switch and the Sprindex coil with the adjustable spring rate, you should be able to get all the adjustability you could get from an air shock, but all the performance you would get only from a coil shock. Pretty sick.
A couple benefits with a coil shock: more traction, less friction, but they weren't adjustable until now. So the Sprindex, you can adjust it in 30 to 60-pound increments, or really anything in between. And as their website says, you're improving your suspension with a twist. You guys want to know more? Well, I did. So I went and met up with Carl Winefordner, one of the creators of this guy, and also one of the founding members of Crank Brothers. Let's go talk to him. All right, Carl.
Okay.
What are all these numbers? What do they mean?
Well, spring rate is the amount of force it takes to squeeze a spring a certain distance.
Okay.
And springs, like in this case, a Sprindex, this one is 380 pounds of force to squeeze this each inch. So at 2 inches, it would have taken 760 pounds. It's just the rate.
That much.
Yeah. Well, the thing
So
is,
how does that work?
because the wheel moves more than the spring.
Okay.
So there's this leverage going on that means that the force on the spring can be much higher than the weight of the rider.
Okay.
Springs are normally a fixed rate, 300 pounds per inch, 350 pounds per inch, 400 pounds per inch. And that is a very big difference between rates. So you can often end up with a spring that's too stiff and you go down one and you've got one where you're bottoming out.
Okay.
So you have to ride the one that's too stiff.
So this is kind of the best of both worlds because you can adjust it.
This allows you...
Get you several different adjustments. So there's from 430 down to 380. Is that what it went down to?
380 to 430. You can go anywhere in between. So for example, when this is adjusted to 380, it's the coils that can move are between here and here. Okay. But as it runs around, it starts blocking part of the active coil. Like right now, the coils can only move between here and here. That's a half, and it makes a huge difference.
So even though it's going just a tiny movement, it's like a good percentage of that coil because it's not that large of a coil. Still not convinced these are going to work with your bike? Well, unless you have a hardtail or a short travel bike like my Blur, more than likely one of these three Sprindex X. One of these will work with your bike. So they have three sizes. There's the 55 mil with a 2.2 stroke for cross-country bikes, which is my Bronson. There is a 65 with a 2.6 stroke for enduro bikes. And there is a 75 monster, the 3.0 stroke for downhill. Coil shock? Coil shock, anyone? Coil shock? You're doing laps. It's like the 10th time I've seen you. If you go to their website, there is a super duper long list of every shock and these will work with, so check it out.
It fit almost all of them. We have little performance adapters that come with it, and it fits just about all shocks that use these kind of strokes.
So this adjustable collar is going to either activate or deactivate the coil. So when you turn it to the higher number, it's actually getting more stiff. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As you go to the higher numbers, you are allowing less wire to bend, which makes it stiffer.
And then because you're using this high tensile steel, is that correct? Is that what
Yes.
it's called? It's actually not stressing the coil.
What we did is we designed it for the stresses when it is adjusted to its highest position, because there is less coil at that point. So the stresses are higher, but we designed it so that it handled those stresses. So it is not overstressed. If you added these parts to any ordinary spring, you would overstress that spring.
I don't think you'll be disappointed if you switch. Plus they're lighter. They're so much lighter than a regular shock. Coil. There. Okay, so for $140, you're getting like 14 coils for the
15.
price. 15?
Yeah, there's 15 positions.
Oh, no way. Okay, so you're getting 15 coils for the price of one for $140 times 15. You do the math. You're the engineer. You're the math guy. That's a huge savings, everybody. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay, one last thing, Carl. I saw that you were nominated, or Sprindex was nominated for Pink Bike's Innovation of the Year. You guys have only been out for a month. That's so amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. We were pleased and honored.
Yes. And then I also noticed that a lot of people in the comments were saying, why didn't I think of that? How many people have been asking you guys that?
A lot of people said that. In fact, we said that when we first thought of it because it seems kind of obvious. But that's how all simple ideas or execution of ideas seem. And we researched it deeply, and it has never been done like this.
So it's just kind of like Albert Einstein's quote, make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. And that's kind of the case with this invention, I think.
That's usually the goal that we strive for, so thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me and let me check out this new product. This is so
I hope you
exciting.
enjoy it.
I know, I can't wait to ride. Yay! Okay. So what do you all think? I'd love to hear from you guys. Leave me a message in the comments about what your take is on the Sprindex, the adjustable coil spring, and if you're a coil fan or not. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you out there on the trails. I know you guys want to go get one, don't you? It's genius, right? Okay. That was good enough. All right, let's get out of the tree. Hopefully I won't fall. Okay, back out. Bike shoes are slippery. All right, now what? I hope that worked.